Well, President Obama says Congress's credibility is on the line if a chemical attack in Syria goes unanswered.
But a lot of questions remain about the wisdom and the potential consequences of the U.S. getting involved. We talked to a UW expert in international politics this afternoon. Professor Jon Pevehouse met us on Bascom Hill to talk about the crisis in Syria, and we asked him what the repercussions will be if the president gets his way and America attacks Syria.
Well, that's what a lot of the debate is over, and that's why a lot of Americans, I think, have reservations on this. You know, there's a lot of war fatigue from Afghanistan and Iraq, so there's a concern that if we would do this, you know, Hezbollah, for example, in Lebanon has promised to respond with attacks on Israel, our ally in the region. They've, hinted at attacks on American targets in the Middle East, bases, possibly even, some terrorist attack against the United States. Iran has threatened the United States if they do this. So you really do, it's the big day two question, right? What happens on the day after this? And there's real concern about a broader instability in the Middle East if we would strike Syria.
Well, the president and the Secretary of State have both said that Syria is not Iraq and it's not Afghanistan. But what does that mean? I think a lot of people have questions about how it's different, who the rebels in Syria are. There are a lot of dots we haven't connected for people.
That's right. And, I think there'll be a lot of attention on this next week as Congress sort of sorts through this because they have some of the same questions. And so it's two things. One, why isn't it Iraq, Afghanistan? The Senate resolution that passed the Senate Foreign Relations Committee said no ground troops. It said you can attack Syria, but absolutely no ground troops will be introduced in this. So that immediately makes it different than the discussions of Afghanistan and Iraq, where from the beginning we were saying how many ground troops are going to go in. The second issue, as you say, is kind of who are we fighting for? The Free Syrian Army and some of the rebel groups in Syria have backing from groups like Al-Qaeda. And so there's a lot of significant concern about the fact that, so let's say we would undertake a series of missile strikes that would undermine the Syrian Air Force. Well, then perhaps that's been the reason the Syrian government, Bashar Assad, has been able to gain so much leverage in the war. But then if that shifts the tide, then you have groups allied with Al-Qaeda that then might come to power. And, is the devil we know better than the devil we don't? And I think that's the concern.
Repercussions of doing nothing?
Potential, and that's Obama's case. That's the case Obama's trying to make to Congress in the United States, is that, he drew this red line. He said, if chemical weapons are used, if you target your own civilians indiscriminately like this, we're gonna do something about it. And so he stuck American credibility on the line. He's also arguing there's kind of an international norm that when countries do this, they need to be punished in some way. Like, we can't allow dictators to indiscriminately kill their own people, and so we need to start upholding these broader normative standards as well. The counter to that is it really in the American national interest in the long run? And I think that's going to be the big debate in Congress, is upholding American credibility, upholding these international legal standards versus what really is at stake for the United States directly in Syria, given that the people we're helping out aren't that friendly to us in the first place.
Very interesting conversation. We thank Professor Pevehouse for his time. Classes just got underway on campus, and Jon said the Syria topic is the perfect one to kick off his class on Introduction to International Relations this semester.
Yeah, he said he often takes up current events in class, so what a way to learn.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking to him again.